All right, hello everyone. Can you guys see and hear us? Yes, okay, awesome. Well, I hope you guys are all enjoying the conference so far. I know I am. The one thing that I will put up really, really quickly for our last part of the conference is that last QR code for the EDGE program for the Find Your Voice. So let me get my screen sharing. Unfortunately, it's not letting me share my screen, so we'll make sure to get that up by the end. But I would love to introduce Tennecia. She will be our first 5 for 5 speaker.
Thank you, Crystal. So hi, everyone. I am Tennecia Dacass, a assistant professor in economics department. I'm also an immigrant and a first-gen college student and a Black female in a male-dominant profession. So I have had my fair share of challenges. And because of that, today I want to share my coping strategies whenever it is that I am feeling, low or I'm experiencing a period of poor mental health. So I know for many of you, change is afoot. Many of you are either thinking of moving from living on campus to off campus and just trying to navigate that whole situation, trying to find roommates. Others of you have a job. Congratulations if you do, or you are looking for a job. So you're a senior. And so in a few months, your role will switch from student to a professional. And so today I want to talk about a period of time where I experienced change. And I really have a lot of anxiety associated with change. And, just what happened to me and some of the strategies I employed during that time. So I did my graduate work, Kansas State University. I lived there for 5 years. And, I formed a lot of relationships that I treasure even to this day. In 2019, however, I had to move. For a year, I was on the job market. And what that means is for seniors in the graduate program, you have to search for a job, go for interviews, land that job in the hope that, a year from the date you start, you'll actually transition from student to professional. So in 2018, I started my process and I was able to land a job in February 2019. I was one of the first persons in my cohort to find a job. Now, during this period of job search, there was a lot of, anxiety. Your peers turned from your peers to now your competitors because we were applying for the same jobs. And so there was a period of high stress, lots of difficulties just trying to finish strong. And so I remember spending days, alone because I was one of the first to receive a job. And so I, for lack of a better term, was shunned by my peers just because they were also going through, their periods of difficulty. And so I remember spending days in my apartment, sleeping. I know a lot of people, when they get sad, they can't sleep. Well, the rest of us, when we are, sad or going through periods of anxiety, sleep is my best thing, my escape. And so after feeling isolated, anxious, just because I was about to start a new role as a professor here at Central, I decided that maybe I would need some help just to help me cope. And so I grew up religious. And as a religious person, there is some stigma attached to therapy. But I had gone through therapy before when I just moved to the US as the first time living away from home. And so even though it was difficult, I decided, okay, I'm going to go to therapy. And so I used the school resource, just as what we have at the counseling center. And I was able to access a therapist. And, she told me some of the things that we're familiar with: drink more water, sleep, take some mental health breaks. But some of the things that really worked for me are I tried to identify sources of happiness that was independent of anyone else. So independent of your partner, independent of your peers, your friends, your parents. And for me, it was listening to music. And so, growing up, I always liked soca, dancehall, Afrobeat. And so whenever I'm having a low period, and even then, I would just put on some music. Even now in my office, I'd put in my earpods and listen to some music and just escape. Another thing was to read self-help books. So Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis and other autobiographies, or even just self-help books. They help me because they let me realize that others go through, periods of low or poor mental health and just how they overcome. So I think identifying that others are struggling at points in time and how they survive helps you or helps me. Another thing that I do is I go for walks or I go for hikes. And so I wanted to encourage you all today to let you know that, life is challenging and that there are going to be wonderful moments, but there'll also be difficult moments. And so you have to identify what works for you and use those strategies as you embark on a new horizon. I could also say a lot more about defining success. What is success for you? In addition to having your big audacious goals, try to have a goal for the month or a goal for the week or a goal for the day. And then when you're going through these periods of low emotional times or challenging times, then celebrate the small success. You submitted a homework on time, celebrate, have a donut, get some yogurt. You were able to go to a meeting, you got out of bed, celebrate those successes and identify your own coping strategies. Thank you. Oh, I will introduce Linae. I am really proud to be associated with Linae. Linae was my first advisee. So when I started in 2019, so she was in my first class. So forgive me, Linae, I've gotten better at teaching. But Linae has always impressed me. She works really hard. I tell her, you work too much, have some fun. She loves basketball and currently works with one of her dream teams. She coaches and mentors young ladies. And so I'm sure she'll have some great insights for you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate all that. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. And I got to say, Dr. Dacass is one of my favorite professors at Central. It was my choice for her to be my advisor. I actually went and made the request to switch it after 6 weeks of class. So you did everything great. So very excited. If you don't know her, get to know her. She's the best. I feel I'm really excited to be, here talking to everyone today. I graduated from Central this past June, so June of 2021. I double majored in business marketing and economics and minored in sport business. So kind of try to touch a couple different things there. There's so many things I think that I would love to talk about, a lot of different passions. I'm passionate about essentially everything in life, but one that I really want to touch on that I think is especially important, right now, I think, and thinking of where I was, I guess a year ago, 2 years ago, is just the importance of networking and the value that brings to you and how even the littlest things, the littlest, the resources that you have at Central, there's so much more than you even realize sometimes. Sometimes we get lost in that it's not the biggest school. Maybe I'm not getting all that I think I am, but because it's a smaller school, there's so many more opportunities. So the best way I can kind of speak to that in the networking piece is kind of just telling a story of, essentially where I'm at right now. And I like to break it back and walk all the way back to where it started. And it's crazy to think that's where it started, but I'll definitely always give, a nod back to Central. As mentioned, I work for the Golden State Warriors. It's my favorite basketball team, one of the biggest sports organizations, in the world. So it's really, really cool to be here from Central. And I take a lot of pride in saying that Central is, a huge part of me getting here. But where I'm at right now, I started, I guess, so I'm going to walk, back again. So here right now at Golden State Warriors, how did I get here? The most direct link was I was a part of a program, the Future Sales Stars program. For me, again, talking about networking, that was super important because I had an opportunity to network. That was an opportunity where I had to apply to the program and they accepted however many out of a couple hundred people that applied. So it was really cool. But being present and intentional in that program, connecting with the people that were working at the league office that were a part of it, for me, my dream was that big audacious goal, right? I want to work in the NBA. So I'm going to take advantage of being in this space and talking to those people. I'm not going to, shy away from it. I'm going to have the conversations. In terms of Golden State specifically, anytime that I saw somebody from Golden State that was, a part of the program, I made sure I said hello to them. I made sure they knew my name. I did that with everyone, but especially those I knew I wanted to be here. To get to that program, right, you had to apply. But in order to get there, how did I learn about that? I was on LinkedIn one day, and one of another members from, he works another team in the NBA, I guess I shouldn't say probably, that I got to know at a conference that I was at. I met him, and I connected with him. We had a couple of conversations, had a really good network, and I seen that he had posted about it on LinkedIn, this program. So I liked it, and he immediately emails me and goes, "Hey, Linae, I thought of you. Actually, I was going to email you this right away. I think you should apply. I think it's great." Again, why is that? Because we had connected. We had chatted, got to know a little bit about myself, got to know about him, and you make that impression. But again, it's why? Because I was trying to network. That's all that it was about. Taking a step back from there. How did I meet this individual? As I mentioned, I attended a conference. I also attended a workshop. So stepping out of your comfort zone, I think. Again, I stepped out and went to these different conferences and workshops as a member of the Sport Management Association at Central. I was a part of this club. They said, "Hey, be intentional about doing this and that. We're going to go to Portland and we're going to attend this conference with all these different teams. It's really important to be there." So I went and did that. And I know this story, it's going to sound a little weird coming backwards, but I'll go ahead and, go the correct way and the timeline after this as well. So I connected with that individual. We got to know each other. So then I think, taking a step back, how did I get there in the first place? Why was I there? I was a part of the club, but why was I a part of the club? What was my thought process behind being present, and why did I think there was any value in it? I joined the club, and I didn't just join it to be a fly on the wall. I joined it because I had the intention of I'm going to be active and I want to get to know people. I think everybody in college, you don't necessarily think I'm going to just join a club and be active and do this and that. There's some kind of motivation sometimes, whether it's a professor telling you that you should do it for extra credit, whether it's you saying you should do it because it looks great on your resume, whatever it is. For me, what was important was I always like to find value. So you could tell me it looks good on your resume, but to me, I'm I guess humble and conceited at the same time. I'm really big on, why do I need to pad my resume? Like, if you just do the things that you do and you speak to them, it doesn't matter if you just add random things. You just speak to what you do. Why does a club matter? I don't want to just speak, say that it was there. And I was told, hey, what's important is that you can network, you can get to know different people, right? You have different opportunities. You can attend different conferences. Central tries really hard to make sure that students are able to get access to different places. So I said, okay, cool. Who told me to do that? Sorry, hearing a little bit of feedback. You guys hear the feedback as well as I just, okay. So he told me to do that. Or I guess what made me do that, the summer before that I joined these clubs, I worked for the Seattle Storm for a year. How did I get that job? The team president and general manager at the time actually put in a good word for me and said that, hey, I'd be someone that'd be great to bring on, as an intern, essentially. How did that happen? And this is where I tie it back to Central, is my professor in my first marketing class, Treg Farmer. He said, somebody had asked, hey, how do we get extra credit? And he goes, I don't really like giving extra credit. You guys know we're college students. Like, how do we do that though? What, it's week 1, but just in case week 7, I haven't done anything, how do I get extra credit? And he said, you know what? Do an informational interview with someone, wherever you want to work. And that's how. And to me, I said, what does that mean? I want to learn more about it. I talked to him about some of my passions, and I said, I wanted to work in sports. I like the Storm. They had just won a title. And he goes, hey, you want to work with the Storm? Go ahead and talk to the general manager. I said, what the heck? Why would you talk to me? I've been at Central for like 4 months. Why would anybody talk to me? He goes, aim for the top dog. And after that, you just get knocked down to someone else maybe, but you never know. You could get the top dog. Aim for it. Reached out to her assistant, and I had an informational interview literally 3 weeks later. We talked for 20 minutes with the team president and general manager. Coolest thing of my life. But from there, from that conversation with Treg about extra credit, which I didn't even submit the extra credit, by the way. I didn't even get any extra credit. But what I got was the value. And for me, I got this job. So again, now to do the timeline kind of in chronological order, a professor says, hey, it's so important to network and have an informational interview. I think it has so much value that I'm willing to give you guys extra credit just for doing it and speaking on it. I did that, ended up getting a job, worked with the team for the summer. It was incredible. From there, that inspired me to join clubs and try to have that opportunity more, talk to people more, be in those spaces more often, and bring that back to the school as much as I could. I did that as much as I could. And then from there, I said, you know what, join all these different programs throughout. With COVID, everything shut down. What was still available was every single thing online, right? So many people were now working from home, but especially in sports, they weren't working. There was no sports. They were all shut down. So many programs were, birthed from that. People wanted to share their knowledge and they wanted to network with individuals like myself, students. So I joined every program that I could. I applied for all of them. When I got in that space, it wasn't just to be in that space and to say I was in the program. It was, I want to continue to network, continue to learn, and now take advantage of, we're in Ellensburg. That's however far from, from Seattle, however far from wherever it's at, but it's typically a distance. I'm not going to talk to people in New York when I'm in Ellensburg because I'm not there. But now through this, platform, Zoom, I could do all that so well. I'm going to be so intentional about being in the space that I couldn't be in before. And I'm putting Central on the map every time I do it. Kept doing that, got to know people. And now I'm at the Golden State Warriors. So hopefully, that story, I felt like that was the best way that I can speak to it. But that's why I feel like networking is so important, because it was something as simple as saying, reach for the top dog and just learn about working in the WNBA, learn about working in sports, learn about her story, and being intentional when you're there. That's what will take you the distance. And even at that time, I couldn't see it because who would? But here I am now 2.5 years later, working for, a huge sports organization in the NBA. So I think that's a really cool story. And I think anybody can do whatever they want to do. Just, networking is super, super important. It can help get you there. I will stop talking now. I think I went a little long, and I will pass it on to Julie.
Well, that is super hard to follow. That was incredible. My name is Julie Penwell, and I'm a Senior Advisor Associate with Private Ocean Wealth Management, soon to be Wealthspire Advisors. I work with about a dozen different advisors across all 3 of our offices, and I support about 90 to 100 client households across the country. Prior to starting at Private Ocean, I graduated from Central almost 3 years ago, which is crazy to think about. I studied personal financial planning, forecasting economics, and accounting. And I was actually very involved with the Women in Business organization. So I'm really excited to be here today and really excited to get to give back to a program and an organization that really meant so much to me. So I'm going to be talking to you all about something that I've been really familiar with over the last year, and something that I work on every single day. And that is learning how to selectively say yes, or conversely, when to say no and how to say no. So a little background on me: I am absolutely a perfectionist and a people pleaser, which I would say is a pretty dangerous combination. I've been this way my entire life, and I probably am going to be this way my entire life. I'm very eager to learn. I love new opportunities, and I'm always trying to find ways to push myself outside of my comfort zone. I think that's where we grow the most, when we're outside of our box. And so when I started at my job, the whole world of opportunities that I'd always been so excited about really opened up even more. I had more opportunities, more chances to say yes than I ever had. And they were all things that were interesting to me. I wanted to learn, I wanted to grow. And so I was saying yes a lot. I was saying yes, add me to this client relationship. Yes, I would love to help you onboard a new client. Yes, I would love to have that email done by tomorrow. In fact, I'll work all night to get it done. And more so than that, I was saying yes so much that I was really starting to overcommit myself. And what I was realizing was I was saying no to some of the other things in my life that are important, like spending time with my friends or my family, or even just watching Netflix on a Friday night. I was just spending so much time in this working world that I was letting go of those things. And it really started to impact my relationships, like I said, and then it was impacting my physical health and my mental health. And it sort of peaked at a situation that was not ideal. I had basically a full-blown mental breakdown in front of someone at work that I probably would never want to even cry in front of or say anything bad or negative ever in front of. And it was a really great wake-up call and a really good learning experience that I wasn't valuing my life outside of work, and I was letting that just take over everything. And I don't say this to say that I regret saying yes to those opportunities, because I don't. Every opportunity that I've said yes to since as long as I can remember has taught me something, whether it's personal, whether it's professional. They've helped to build my skills. So getting on to new clients, or leading a project, or working with leadership at the firm to develop a best practice, those are all things that help build me as a professional. And I would also totally be lying to you all if I said taking on extra opportunities didn't help to accelerate my career. But what I do regret is not saying yes to myself a little bit more often, and saying yes to those things that are important to me as well, like spending time with my friends or my family, or going to the gym or going on a hike or doing something that brings me a lot of joy. So it's not that I say no to every opportunity that comes to me now. Like I said, I enjoy taking on new opportunities and learning, but what I've started to do is develop a framework of when I'm going to say yes, and conversely, when I'm going to say no. So I always approach new opportunities really from a place of curiosity, and I like to ask questions. So I also always say thank you for thinking of me, because I think it means a lot to me anytime that someone reaches out to me. And this really goes for opportunities both in the workplace and then I think outside, like getting to participate in conferences like this, getting to be part of different organizations, or like professional building opportunities. So I always start, trying to understand, what is the time commitment? What are the expectations, both in terms of the work that I'll be doing and the deadlines around it? And then I also really ask myself, like, is this something that's interesting to me? Do I feel like this is something that is going to help build a skill that I don't have yet, or refine some skills that I'm looking to refine? And I really try and figure out if this is exciting to me. And then I go to the idea of, well, do I have capacity? Do I have time for this? And this comes back to the reality in life that there are only so many hours in a day. There are only so many days in a week, and you can only fit so much into every day. And so if I don't have capacity for something, or I don't feel like I have a lot of time for it, it doesn't necessarily mean that I say no. But what I think about is, if I'm saying yes to this, what am I saying no to? And is that trade-off worth it? So for me, this has been hugely helpful as I've gotten into my career, and especially over the last year. I think having such a hard wake-up call that I have to be selective with opportunities has really helped me to feel empowered when I choose what I'm going to take on and what I'm going to say no to. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to a future Central alum that I've heard amazing things about, Jordyn.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry my sound is probably coming through kind of weird, but can you hear me relatively okay? Okay, great. Well, thanks again, Julie. So yeah, my name is Jordyn Fassett. It's my senior year here at Central, but I will be here for another year. But yeah, I am a woman in entrepreneurship. And so I'm going to talk to you guys a bit about my story with that, and leave you with a couple pieces of good advice that I've picked up along the way. So my journey to get to where I am right now is not a straight path, but few really are. But I was the owner and founder of a very successful lemonade stand at age 6. And my ambition to put ideas into motion has never subsided since then. It's really only grown. But there were harsh realities that I would face down the line, as many young women do, especially. Age 14, I meet a man in a breakfast cafe as my family is waiting to be seated. He starts small talking with us. He says he's a director at a theater in Seattle. And at the time, this was what I wanted to do. Prompted by my family telling him about all of the acting I had done, I look up to him and I say, it's been my dream, like, to open up a theater. I love it. And I'm immediately cut off by his next few words, which were, well, I hope your dad better have some deep pockets. So laughter emerged, and he never gave me another moment to speak on it. So my response was, I began high school and I get plugged into the DECA program right away, determined to sharpen my business sense. Age 16, taking on more leadership roles in sports, moving to publicity officer in the DECA program. My boyfriend at the time tells me that I'm too naive for college, that I couldn't handle the pressure of it all, and that I shouldn't go. He says that the business world is for men and hot receptionists, and that if I didn't want to be that, then I should pick a different plan. So you may have guessed, but my response was to get married. Just kidding. I broke up with him. And then I went on to apply and tour at Central, and I loved it. And it's been my favorite place I've ever been. So age 18, spring of my freshman year, I tell a close friend about my new idea, and they laugh at the idea of me managing a company. My response, I declare my major a few months later in business administration with a specialization in leadership and management. Age 21, I tell my family about my passion for hospitality in the Pacific Northwest. I tell them about the year I've spent in the entrepreneurship minor, conducting research, crunching numbers, making calls, staying up in the middle of the night, writing sheets and sheets of notes and ideas for my plan. My uncle laughs and shakes his head and says, "You're too young, you don't have any money, and who would invest in you?" I try to explain further, but he has already mentally checked out of the conversation. Age 22, last month, I'm on the phone with my mom crying because I feel like a fraud, a failure, wondering if the weight of all these words were correct and if I was the one in denial. She supports me as she always has, and I go to an entrepreneurship professor here in the College of Business, and I tell him the words that I've been hearing. So I say, I feel like I'm too young to invest in. I don't have the experience I need for someone to believe in me. I'm cracking under the pressure, but I don't want to quit. After a series of perfect metaphors and explanations as to why I can absolutely achieve my goals in entrepreneurship, he tells me, don't let people who don't know what they're talking about tell you anything about yourself. And so my response, I moved my entrepreneurship minor into the major and take on a second bachelor's degree. Apprenticeship opportunities emerge. I refine my resume, check every box, update my LinkedIn, and I minor in digital marketing management and commit myself to the idea that I've been working towards. Our theme has been how to set boundaries and be assertive, and I can truly tell you that without those two concepts working actively in my life, I wouldn't be where I am today. It's important to be open and to listen to your peers, communities, families, and the insight from those around you, but you have a compass within you that nobody else can truly know, so you have to use discernment with that. And then maybe there is someone in your life who you need to take a step back from. Maybe there are places that you're in that are actually killing your purpose right now. And maybe it's time to do the uncomfortable thing and advocate for yourself, even if others around you aren't happy with it. So I am what you might call a people pleaser in recovery, and I know the full weight of letting others dictate your life. And I also know the toll it takes on your dreams, on the way you see yourself and what you're capable of. But if I can offer any encouragement for you guys today, it's that you are worth it. Your ideas can in fact become reality, and the life you envision for yourself can be achieved. There will be so many people who won't believe in you, and likely far more who won't than who will. But there are people out there who are longing for what you want to give into this world. And if you remember nothing else from my 5 minutes, please remember this. Don't let people who are unhappy with their lives tell you how to live yours. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Haley now. So thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Jordyn. My name is Haley Rinehart, and I am the new Alumni Engagement Coordinator for the College of Business. I just started last week, so I'm really excited to be here. I'm a Central alum. I graduated in spring of 2021, so fairly new to the Alumni Association and everything. Like Linae, I was going to talk about networking. So my time at Central, well, actually my first year here at Central, I never heard of networking, didn't know what it was in high school, didn't think about it. I was the person who had so much anxiety, just wanted to stay in my own shell, right? I didn't want to get out and talk to people. That was like my worst fear ever. So hearing people around me talk about networking really scared me. It was intimidating. I didn't know anything about it. My second year here, I decided to get involved in the College of Arts and Humanities Ambassador Program, which I'm so thankful I did, because if I did not, I probably would still be in that same shell of not wanting to network. So during my time there, I was able to connect with alums, prospective students, and just current students. That really changed my whole perspective on networking and who to connect with. Those people that you connect with really help not only shape your future in any career field. I'm not in the College of Business. I didn't graduate with a business degree, but just having those connections really helped gauge my career here at Central. I knew from the beginning of my time here, I was from Ellensburg, so I wanted to continue my time at Central and meeting and connecting with faculty and my peers and learning from them, learning from their experiences too. So even your peers you can learn from. Your faculty members, listen to them, engage with them, engage with as many people as you can would be my biggest advice. I love to ask questions about what are they doing? What did they do at my age? What can I do to better myself? Where can I continue to go? So I think that's really important as well. It's just making sure that you're developing those connections and keeping those connections going. So once you have those connections, don't just stop it. You want to keep those connections going and just remember that they were once in your position. So even though it's intimidating, At some points, it's intimidating to be networking, but continuing that and sorry, I lost my train of thought. Continuing networking and everything will allow you to get outside your comfort zone and help you gain confidence into whatever career field you may go into. So thank you all.
Thank you all so much. I know, again, like I've been saying all day, you guys really add value to our conference. And I know I really appreciate you guys all talking. I think those are all very important things to learn, and sharing stories and networking are definitely two large things that we learn in the College of Business. But we are at the end of the time for the conference. The conference will close in 4 minutes at 3:35. But if anybody has any last minute questions that they'd like to ask the speakers, you are more than welcome to put it in the chat. Or connect with them on LinkedIn and ask them your questions that way as well. But I will try again to share my screen. However, I think one of our speakers may have to hop out, so I can use that 5th screen. And just for that Edge QR code.
Bye, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Julie. Have a good day. All right, let's see if I can get that up here. If not, it doesn't look like it's going to let me still, but if you want to email cb@cwu.edu, we can totally get you added to that badge as well. But thank you everyone for coming to the conference. We really enjoyed it, and have a great rest of your day.